Justin Bieber concert, just dancing along to my favorite songs and having the time of my life. Then, right in the middle of the performance, I had a strange feeling that I had been here before. All the sights, sounds, and smells were familiar to me, even though I had never experienced anything like this before. This familiarity is what we know as deja vu. Deja is the French word for already or again. Vu is the infinitive of the verb meaning to see. Putting it all together, you get the phrase already seen or deja vu. There are over 40 theories concerning deja vu, but the three most talked about are the dual processing theory, the hologram theory, and precognitive dreams. Deja vu can occur by just a small malfunction in the brain that happens in a matter of seconds. Have you ever been walking down the street when you see someone that you think you've seen before, but you don't know when or where? Then in reality, it turns out that you have never met this person before. Many scientists believe that this is a form of deja vu. This form of deja vu is known as the dual processing theory or delayed vision. In 1963, Robert Efron tested an idea at the Veterans Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. Efron states that deja vu is caused by a delayed neurological response. This means that you have a delayed reaction to what you see, hear, touch, or smell. It all starts with how information enters the brain at two different times. However, both times information is submitted, it ends up in the temporal lobe of the left hemisphere of the brain. The temporal lobe is located in both the right and the left hemisphere. It contains the auditory centers responsible for hearing. The first time information is submitted, it goes straight through to the left hemisphere. The second submission is then entered, but it's always delayed because it goes through to the right hemisphere before entering the left. This is so that both the right and the left hemisphere can process this information at nearly the same time. It is like when you're in a mail room and many different envelopes are being sorted at the same time. There's always a slight delay in between the sorting of each envelope, but if this delay is longer than usual, it will not be sent to the right address. This process then has to be repeated again before this envelope is sent to the right address. This is just like in the dual processing theory. If your brain puts the wrong timestamp on this little bit of information, then the information will not be sent to the right address or part of the brain. This is because the right and the left hemispheres will not process the information because the left hemisphere has the information when the right hemisphere does not. Deja vu happens because your brain processes this memory twice, causing you to think that you have already seen it before. The past, present, and future remain unchanged until there is a glitch in your memory that causes deja vu. When you hear a song on the radio, many different thoughts can run through your head. It can cause you to remember a night you spent out with your friends or a relative that has passed away. According to Herman Snow, this song can actually be the cause of deja vu. This form of deja vu is very gut-wrenching. It is almost like a whole memory or image is being washed over your body and you can't really control what is happening. After doing research and completing many different experiments, Snow proposed the hologram theory. The hologram theory states that memories are like holograms. A hologram is a three-dimensional light image. The hologram theory also states that you can recreate an entire three-dimensional light image from any fragment of the whole. This means that your brain can finish a picture by just hearing one word or seeing one image that sparks this picture. Deja vu occurs when one detail in the environment is similar to something that has happened in your past, and your brain creates an entire scene from this little detail. It is like when you see a logo for a sports team. If you just saw the colors and the font of the logo without actually seeing what sports team it is, you could probably still figure out what it is from these small reminders. This is just like the hologram theory. The hologram theory states that these small reminders can cause your brain to finish the whole picture or the image from these reminders. This can be something you see, hear, touch, or smell. Most of these specific details are from our childhood. Most people do not remember very much from when they are children. This is because that little kids do not yet acquire the learning skills responsible for storing and retrieving memories. According to Paul King, a computational neuroscientist, most kids will not develop this function until they are about 3 or even 4 years old. Even though that people do not have the ability to remember most of their childhood, some of our memories are still stored through our senses. Deja vu comes back into play because memories that we have put into unconscious mind are stored but are not always remembered. An example of this is when you see an old 50s Mustang driving on the street next to you. However, you probably do not remember that when you were 2 years old, your great-grandfather owned the same car. Because the car is a whole image, a hologram can be recreated from it. The brain can do some unimaginable wonders, but what does it remember from when you're sleeping? Dreams are one of the most mystifying parts of the human brain. The brain is able to somehow create an entire story from that can either be very frightening but can also bring happiness. While sleeping, you approximately have 4 to 6 dreams per night. However, you may not always remember these dreams, but your brain does. But did you know that some of these dreams can actually be turned into reality? This is called a precognitive dream. These dreams are a special form of ESP. ESP stands for extrasensory perception. Nobody really knows how ESP is possible, but all evidence points towards the brain. Without the brain, we would not be able to have any of our senses, ESP included. So in precognitive dreams, the dreamer experiences an event, in whole or in part, before it occurs. You may not always remember this dream, but you will experience deja vu when these precognitions come true. A Swiss scientist by the name of Arthur Funkhauser has done a series of tests and studies to try to prove that precognitive dreams are the cause of deja vu. Through his studies, Funkhauser found that 12.7% of his subjects' dreams have similarities with future events. Even this dream can be anywhere from the day after to many years later. I know I have experienced this before, and many of you have also. But this does not mean that we can tell the future. Each dream is very different because each person has their own way of looking at dreams differently. The brain is a very strange part of the human body, and precognitive dreams are just many of its strange, bizarre happenings. Out of all the theories of deja vu, dual processing holograms and precognitive dreams seem the most realistic. The brain is a very complex part of the human body. Scientists have been working for many years to try to figure out all the nooks and crannies of the brain. However, we will not be able to make any new discoveries until science is able to understand the brain. Unfortunately, deja vu is one of those many strange parts of the brain. It is very mysterious to us. Even though we have theories on why it happens, we are not able to prove any of these until we have the material to do so. Hopefully, one day we will be able to figure out where this strange feeling comes from. But until then, we will just have to keep on dreaming.